When you want to get the accurate information about the future of health and health insurance, just watch the Robin Harris Podcast Show every Thursday, 10 a.m. Arizona time at cellphoneradio.org or dial 408-418-5050 and enter the access code 81810#. It's an invigorating show where Robin brings you experts in the field of health and health insurance. The audience can view the show and ask questions of her guests in real time. That's the Robin Harris Podcast Show every Thursday, 10 a.m. Arizona time at cellphoneradio.org or dial 408-418-5050 and enter the access code 81810#. What's in your health insurance plan?
Welcome to the Robin Harris Show, Health and Health Insurance. I am so excited. Today we are going to have a fantastic show. You are going to love what we have in store for you today. You're going to absolutely be riveted by our special guest today, and that's Dr. Dennis Cathcart with Arizona Life Chiropractic Center. And that word life is the important word, because what he is going to share with you today is all about enhancing our overall life, and you just don't want to miss it. It has been a very intense week. I mean, especially the weekend, I have to say, for so many reasons. And I mean, it's the week of June 1st. Today's June 4th, right? Well, we're pre-recording. I'm just going to let you know we are pre-recording this for June 4th, but it's actually June 2nd. So it was a very intense weekend. And, you know, a lot of people are having feelings of anxiety due to the turmoil and things like that. But I've been working very hard on keeping my frequency high. When on my first show I had Carrie Gray, and we talked about frequencies and how keeping your frequency high is very important. And how you keep your frequency high is by even what you say, by using positive words like love and honesty, and by staying in touch with nature and drinking and eating things that are good for you and taking care of yourself and being kind to others. All of these things raise your frequency. Do you know that even gentle music, listening to gentle music? So I saw it I saw water under a microscope, and gentle music versus heavy metal music. Now, for all of you that like heavy metal, you're probably saying, what is she talking about? I love heavy metal. But you know what? It really affects your frequency. So keeping our frequency as high is good. Now, you know I go for my walk every morning. I went to the park. I walked my dog, Dolly, and she was loving it. She terrorized the neighborhood as she always does. And while all this turmoil is going on in the world, you notice when you go to the park, a beautiful, peaceful park, people are happy, they're contented, they're walking their dogs, the dogs are meeting each other, the owners are talking to each other. It's a very relaxed, gentle atmosphere. And it was so nice. And this morning was extra special because firstly, I saw a rainbow, and I purposely looked at that rainbow, and I really wanted to see the colors of that rainbow, and because I wanted to share them with you today. And it was blue, it was like a purplish color, green, yellow, and an orange color, like an orangey red color. And I love rainbows because rainbows are a sign of peace. And as a matter of fact, I want to share this with you. The scriptures, the rainbow was given to mankind from God as a sign of peace. So number one, I saw that. And then the next thing I saw was an off-white dove. And out here in Arizona, we have a lot of doves, and they're about like a taupey grayish brown color. But I saw this dove, and it was an off-white color. And I thought, all this turmoil in the world, and I see a rainbow, and I see an off-white dove. And I thought to myself, trying to, keep my frequency up, I was thinking how if you're looking for peace, you will find it. If you're looking for hate, you will find it. And not to say, and I have to preface that because a lot of, bad things do happen to good people. We know that's true. But overall, if we're looking for peace and love, we'll find it. If we're looking for other things, unfortunately, we'll find it. So it's really something that we can do for ourselves, keeping ourselves at a high frequency, right? I wanted to mention that we got such rave reviews of our guest last week, and that was Daniel Lynch from Medical Bill Gurus. And he talked about how he gets reimbursement for holistic and integrative medicine. So, for instance, if you have cancer or Lyme disease or some grave illness, and it's basically a cash pay, but you have health insurance, he can help you to get reimbursement for many of the items or the treatments that you are undergoing. So that was really great. And that was Daniel Lynch with Medical Bill Gurus. Wonderful. And then many people were asking me about my pendant, because I had talked about how this pendant, if you can see it, I wear it, and I have one for my husband. I went into depth about this last week, and a lot of people were saying, how do I get that pendant? How did I get that pendant? So here's an up close of it. You could see that. Okay, that's a pendant. It's called a bodyguard pendant. So you could actually just go to my website. This is one of my sponsors. And if I I could even show you how to do that on my website. So you would go to my website, robinharris.com. This is our new feature. Isn't this wonderful? So you go to, give me a moment. I'm trying to get this. Okay, you go to radio podcast, and then you scroll down to sponsor, and then you go right here to Master Your Health Now, and you will find the bodyguard pendant right there. Okay, wonderful. So, and it actually helps with what's called EMF, which is electromagnetic frequencies, and 5G. It even helps repel 5G. So this is really important to have, especially for your children. If your children are on tablets and all that kind of stuff and on phone, you really want to get this for them. So industry news. I'm excited because I can show you where all this stuff is on my website. Thanks to Scott, Tech Guru. He gave me this new feature. So I'm going to go back to my screen, and I'm going to show you how to access. Industry news. So you go over here to news and industry news right here. And I am going to be talking about this article, White House announces deal to cap insulin costs, okay? So I'm really, all these new fancy tools here, I'm going to be having fun with them. But I want to talk about that industry news. I came out on May 26th that the White House announced a deal to cap insulin costs for seniors. And this came out on The Hill by Jesse Hellman. And it says here that most seniors on Medicare plans will pay no more than $35 for a month's worth of insulin under a new agreement reached by insurers, drug manufacturers, and the Trump administration. More than 1,750 Medicare Part D drug plans and Medicare Advantage plans will cap the cost of insulin copays at $35, saving enrollees an average of $446 per year, according to CMS, and that's the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. Okay? And this is available in all 50 states and including Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. This will begin in October 15th and ending December 7th of 2020, starting the end of this year during open enrollment for Medicare. The only thing in the article it brings out, unfortunately, it says that the premiums could slightly increase. So they're going to pick up the cost somewhere. Let's hope. I don't know, maybe if you have a Medicare supplement, all your copays are paid, but maybe the insulin might come up, the premium might come up a little bit on the Advantage plan. I don't know. We'll see when we get to it. But, that's still a good thing. And the other thing I want to mention is I had Marty Portnoy on, and he's a pharmaceutical broker, if you recall that show, and what he does is he gets brand name pharmaceuticals at a discounted price. So if you want me to get you in touch with him, I can do that. The other thing is I have a very special program, and it is income. It's a program that's based on incomes, and it could bring down your pharmacy cost very, very low. So as an example, insulin, Humalog, the quick pen, you can get that for $25. You've heard that right, $25. Now, the program is if you, as an individual, you make $30,000 or less, you qualify. If you're a couple and you make $60,000 or less, you qualify. So if you want to know more about this program, you can go to my website, robinharrisadvisors.com, and you could go to contact us and put your question in message, and we'll get that right over to you. Or you could call our office at 602-663-2810. Okay? Lastly, before we bring on Dr. Cathcart, I do want to mention that if you do not have telemedicine with your group plan or your individual health insurance, you can easily get a plan, and it's very inexpensive. As an example, you can get a telehealth plan, like with MD Hotline. That's one of the ones that I offer. I have a couple, but this one is MD Hotline. You can get it separate. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, access to a physician, available for all ages. A family can get this membership for only $19.95 a month, and you could use it, like, as an example, I have a client he drives trucks for a living, and so he's on the road a lot, and so this is really great for him because he can't see his primary care doctor. Also, it's great. It's basically great for just very simple, I guess, I don't know if I say simple, but basic medical needs. Like if you're getting a flu maybe, or you have a sty in your eye or something like that, you can call this doctor. Or if you had a rash, I've used it for that. I got a rash from the nail salon, and I did call the doctor, the medical doctor. Okay, thank you. Scott Tech Guru told me to sit back a little bit. Anyway, after Dr. Cathcart, I am going to go over a buyer beware. It's going to be a little buyer beware about no deductible plans. Okay, so I hope that you can listen in to that one. But I am so excited because we have such a special guest coming right here. And we are going to be speaking to Dr. Dennis Cathcart with Arizona Life Chiropractic. And I want to show you this beautiful picture of Dr. Cathcart. That's Dr. Cathcart and his beautiful wife, Carolyn. And he has a lovely family. He has a practice. He's been practicing since 1992 and has had his own practice since 1998. Excuse me, that is such a tongue twister. But he's going to be right here in just 1 minute. I am so excited. Stay tuned.
Wouldn't it be nice to consult an experienced lawyer whenever your family encounters a legal issue, major or minor? It's not only possible, it's affordable and convenient with a life events legal plan from Legal Shield. Our members receive services from a nationwide network of provider law firms. In the event of an emergency, whatever the day or hour, members can receive legal advice via our emergency access service. Enroll today at the website listed here or contact Roger Skoll at 623-221-5496. Thank you.
Cellphoneradio.org.
Welcome back to the Robin Harris Show, Health and Health Insurance. I am so excited because we have such a special guest here, and that is Dr. Dennis Cathcart with Arizona Life Chiropractic Center right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Dr. Cathcart is a doctor of chiropractic since 1992 and established Arizona Life Chiropractic Center in 1998. He has received numerous awards of excellence in his field and is a guest lecturer, pre-med studies on the subject of alternatives to prescription drugs at Arizona State University. He seeks to improve his patients' health and wellness, which means looking for the underlying causes of disease and discomfort and pain. Dr. Cathcart knew he could truly change people's lives for the better as a doctor of chiropractic, and he says he gets to see miracles every day. Thank you so much, Dr. Cathcart, for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me on, Robin. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. You are, you do live lectures every week, and I watch them, and you are truly a trailblazer. And I say that because the information that you are sharing with the populace are things that are life-saving. You're a chiropractor, but it's not just a crack of the neck. You are actually saving people's life. And you've also helped babies be born. Isn't that true?
Not deliver them, no. But I adjust them on the day they're born.
Really? Little babies.
Yep. Well, you think about how tough delivery is on mom, but think about the baby. Even though they don't come out saying, "Whoo, that was rough," but they come out crying, and a lot of times the delivery process causes subluxations in their neck, and it's very important to get them adjusted right away.
I never thought about that. It never occurred to me.
Well, our first son was born Christmas morning of '88, and I started school the first week of January in '89, and so we were just new parents, struggling to figure out what to do that was right, and our son could not sit in a car seat without screaming. And he would never sleep more than 2 hours. He was just a fussy baby, and we took him to a chiropractor when he was about 2 months old, and it really shook me up to watch the chiropractor work on the baby. It really freaked me out, and I thought, what have I done? And but the baby fell asleep in the car seat on the way home, and we only lived 2 blocks away, and he slept for 5 hours.
That's what he needed.
just from that moment on, I knew I was going to be a chiropractor that adjusted babies.
That is the question I wanted to ask you, because in your bio, you said you were inspired the first time you ever went to a chiropractor to be a chiropractor's office to be a chiropractor. That was the moment?
No, the reason I went to chiropractic school is because I was wrestling with a roommate and I hurt his neck. And he said, take me to a chiropractor, and I thought he was a nut job. But since I'd hurt his neck, I figured I owed him that. So I drove him to a chiropractor, and while he was getting taken care of, the chiropractors were saying, are you going to get checked too? And I said, no, I'm just the chauffeur here. And they said, well, sit here and watch this video, which I'm eternally grateful for, because it was maybe about a 10-minute video. And I've learned since then that it's called the Renaissance videos, and they were put out by Life University, which is Arizona Life Chiropractic Center. The Life College of Chiropractic made these videos to explain chiropractic, and it made sense. My freshman year of college, I registered as a physical therapy student, and I was looking into sports training and physical therapy, and I just went. After I watched that video, I went to my counselor and I said, I'm changing over to chiropractic.
So you were going through those studies, and did you have to add on a lot more years? I mean, you had already started?
Since I'd already finished my freshman year, but all the same initial classes were the same. So it was no problem just to switch over. And he said, here, you get on the Council on Chiropractic Education, and you say, here's your prerequisites, and you get your prerequisites, and you apply to chiropractic college.
Because, I know that chiropractors are known more for the adjustment portion. There's so much more to what you offer, and we're going to get into that. But it took a long time for chiropractic to finally to get the recognition that it deserves. Am I right on that?
Well, it's still a problem. Here's the biggest problem that I see, and I speak the truth. I search for truth, and the truth is chiropractors don't prescribe medication, and so we're completely useless to big pharma. But not only are we useless to them, I teach classes. And I go on Facebook Live and I teach people alternatives to pharmaceutical products. So not only am I useless to them, I'm a threat to them.
Yes.
And a lot of chiropractors teach the same thing. They teach people, look, when you have a problem, let's find out what the cause is, and let's not add toxins to that soup that has caused you to have these symptoms. And so we're completely useless to big pharma. And if the truth is really going to be laid out, the medical profession is a puppet to big pharma, not the other way around.
Well, it's true, because did I just say that? I have to say I do have a presentation, and the purpose of the presentation is to show where the money's going when it comes to healthcare. And big pharma, the 5 biggest industries are banking, finance, and big pharma. It's bigger than, energy. It's bigger than telecommunications. It's bigger than Hollywood. It's bigger than anything outside of banking and finance.
Well, when you look at studies show that on Capitol Hill, the people spending the most money trying to persuade politicians is pharma.
Yeah.
No, they outspend energy, they outspend banking, they outspend them all.
Well, I want to go back to you went. Now, I want to go back to the word life. I've never, I was thinking about this on my way here. For somebody to put the word life in the name of their business, it has to be a large part of what your business does. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, what inspired the term life is there's a chiropractor named Dr. Sid Williams, and he's one of the old-time chiropractors, and he started a chiropractic school in Marietta, Georgia.
Okay.
And it was called Life Chiropractic University, or can't remember what the first, but he used the word life, and he would have these DE seminars, which standard for Dynamic Essentials. And so at Life University, they put on these DE seminars, and chiropractors from all over the world would go to these seminars and to listen to chiropractic philosophy, to listen to the latest advances in nutrition and things like that. And it's Life University, and it was a big, huge movement in chiropractic. They're trying to start them again. Unfortunately, they had stopped for a while. Sid Williams is no longer the president of Life University, but he was a huge influence on a lot of chiropractors. And so that term life, and what it meant to me was, as a chiropractor, my job is to teach people how to experience life with greater exhilaration, greater experience, turn on the nervous system. We experience life through our nervous system. And so that's my job, is to make sure your nervous system is functioning properly and your brain and your body are communicating properly.
That communication, all those cells, those moving parts in the brain and the body, it's all coming together to make you a wonderful being that we are.
Exactly.
And so I know you offer many services in your practice, and what are some of the ways that you help your clients to gain that, wonderful life that is working?
Well, first and foremost, we do a complete exam on a first visit, and we want to find out, first of all, what problems they're having, and then we want to find out what problems we see in not only their posture but their spine. We have a very good x-ray system, digital, and we take very good x-rays. We do a postural study, so our patients are always standing when we take their x-rays.
I'm standing up.
Right. We want to know what kind of stressors are on their spine and nervous system. And then we work to improve that situation. We teach people exercises that they can do at home. We do specific adjustments to help correct that problem. And like you were saying earlier off air about the text neck that we talked about.
Yes, that was a good one.
Text neck is a problem, or I can turn sideways here and show you that when we have a good posture, our brain and our spinal column is working better. It's communicating with our body. And when we're like this, it's a huge problem. It puts a lot of stress. It interferes with the body's communication network. And a lot of people have lost the proper curve and posture in their neck because we're such an electronic society now.
So that means these children that are from little have their devices. Could it deform them?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. Because they're growing. They're growing, and they could have a permanent deformity. I could see that. Well, I want to get, as they say, into the nitty-gritty, and that is because I saw a lecture that you gave, and it was eye-opening. And I put it on my Facebook page. I sent it to friends, and I was like, you have to see this. And it was on vaccines, Dr. Cathcart. It was eye-opening. And, I've read some things about vaccines, but you really broke it down. And I want to ask you, what made you question vaccines? Because, you hear a lot of things. As a doctor, you're told maybe to give vaccines, but what made you question vaccines?
I think I was just like anybody else. I was a new parent. I had never even thought about vaccines, really. When I was a kid, I was born in 1962. There were 5 vaccines on the CDC recommended schedule, And so with 5 vaccines, I was considered fully vaccinated and fully compliant. And I just completely assumed that vaccines were safe and effective. That's what the talking heads always say on TV. And never questioned until my wife took our newborn son at 2 months of age to the pediatrician for the first time. And they set my wife down and they asked her to read this waiver and sign it. And as she read, she was horrified about what she read. She got very emotional. And this was before the advent of cell phones. So I was in California in my first trimester of chiropractic school. She was in Arizona because we haven't quite got everything situated to bring her over yet. And so she had to face that by herself, and then she just assumed, well, I know I'm supposed to vaccinate, and so I guess I have to do this. So she signed a paper, and she got her son vaccinated. And then the 4-month and then the 6-month shot. And then he started to exhibit allergies and problems and asthma. And one of my friends was his name, and I'll throw him under the bus. His name was Ron Brown. He's from outside of Sacramento, the Grass Valley area. And we played a lot of basketball together. And I was talking to Ron, and he said, we were talking about my baby boy, and I said something about vaccinations. And he became appalled. And he said, "You vaccinated your son?" And then I was just like stunned, like, what on earth? I had no idea that there was even a whole world of information out there that was anti-vax. And so he's the one, he grew up, his dad was a chiropractor. He had never been to a medical doctor in his life. He had never taken any medication, not even Tylenol, nothing over the counter ever in his life. He had been brought up by a chiropractor, taught how to think differently, and I was amazed. And so he kind of turned me on to start looking at the problems with vaccinations, and we stopped vaccinating our son. Unfortunately, he was damaged by those vaccines, even though we stopped before he was a year old. And to this day, he has asthma and allergies, ADD, and he's very he's very easily anxious about crowds, and which is, it's sad. And I've apologized to him. He doesn't hold me responsible, but none of my other sons were vaccinated. I have 4 boys, and none of them have any of those issues.
I'm sorry to hear that, Dr. Cathcart. And I noticed, just by what you're saying, I've never seen so many cognitive problems in children. Going to speech therapy and behavior therapy and all these different therapies. They're keeping the therapists busy, that's for sure. But there has to be something to it. There has to be. I know it's not just bad food. I mean, it's got to be something to it. Just doesn't make sense. One of the
lectures that I do is just solely about the political side of vaccinations. And like I mentioned earlier, I was born in '62, and 5 vaccines meant you were completely vaccinated.
I remember.
In 1986, the number was 12. And then Ronald Reagan signed a law that indemnified vaccine manufacturers from liability. So they went to Ronald Reagan in '86 and said, "Look, we're going to stop making vaccines, and there's going to be a world pandemic, and it's going to be your fault. And we are getting sued because there are inherent problems with vaccines, but it's for the greater good." And that's, I think, what Ronald Reagan bit on, was it's for the greater good. There are some inherent problems in vaccines, but we need to be legally not held liable so that we can continue to produce vaccines. So Ronald Reagan, he wasn't just a complete dummy. He said, "Look, I'll sign this, and we'll tax every vaccine, and we'll create a fund. So when these families' babies get damaged by a vaccine, there'll be a fund that can help them with those vaccines, which you say is for the greater good. But in the meantime, you have to make the vaccines safer. And with their fingers crossed behind their backs, they agreed. So every other year, every 2 years, they're supposed to report to the House of Representatives, the committee on vaccine safety. I don't have to probably prod you. How many times do you think they've reported?
0.
Yeah, 0.
Of course, they're not accountable.
They're not being held accountable in any way, and they've infiltrated the FDA and the CDC.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so there's no research being done to make vaccines safer. But in 1989, so my son was born in 1988, December, on Christmas Day. 1989, January, the CDC announced their new recommendations for vaccines, and it was over triple the doses. Now, so here's the point I want people to get. I was born in 62, and I was fully vaccinated with 5 shots. Anybody that was born before 86, 12 shots was fully vaccinated. But now if you were a child after 1989, well, then it was over 50 doses. And now if you follow the CDC guidelines with your child, by the time they reach the age of 18, they will have received 72 doses of 16 different vaccines. And there's hundreds of vaccines trying to get approved to be on the schedule because it's liability-free, pure profit.
You know, and I know some of the audience that are listening to this, they're thinking this is crazy. This is fool. But it's not, because I experienced it. I didn't relate it, but I had a series of vaccines because of my work. And this was in the 80s. And I got so sick after that, I was bedridden for 3 months. And so now I didn't really get the related, I thought, I got a tick bite. I was living in Connecticut or things like that. Now I understand. It really was related to that. And frankly, I've been on a quest for greater health ever since because of that experience. There's a really good book. I'm sure you're familiar with or might be familiar with it. It's by G. Edward Griffin. It's called A World Without Cancer. And in that book, he does talk about how the medical schools were taken over by large business corporations and large business foundations. And they were basically told, if we're going to give you money so you can make a larger wing here and a bigger medical school here, but you really have to do what we tell you to do. And that's how this whole thing started, to where the merger of medicine and business came together, right? So that's what we're seeing today. It's a merger of business. So I want to ask you, Dr. Cathcart, and because I've had a flu shot, and I remember I did not feel good after that flu shot. I've also had that series I told you about, and I always wondered when they were putting that in me, I was like, what is in this vaccine? Can you go into what is in a vaccine?
Well, there's a lot of the vaccines that have common ingredients, but there's a lot of diversity as well. But I think as any person, any mother, any parent that is thinking about whether to vaccinate or not, and sadly, the pharmaceutical industry's propaganda is expert. They are very intelligent, very expert, and what they want is people to not even question. They want people to just follow, just blind sheep follow, and don't question vaccines. And they've even made it vogue to be a vaccinator, and if you're a non-vaccinator, you're to be shunned.
Yes.
So that really, I admire what they've done is that it's you're a nut job if you even question it. But when you really get into the science of it, if any parent would just read the ingredients of the vaccine, first of all, they're not going to understand most of what's in it. But second of all, the few things that they do understand should be horrifying. And so it's just a toxic soup. And I teach my patients, please don't get the flu shot. Please, and I have right out there, every cold and flu season, I have the ingredients of a flu vaccine for everybody to read and to understand. So first of all, what they'll do is they'll take 3 random strains of flu. And of course, they change them slightly so that they'll last in a vial for a year, 6 months to a year. And then they start putting in the other ingredients that is going to help that vaccine get a bigger reaction. So the one thing they do is an adjuvant. Now, it used to be that people knew that mercury was bad for you. If you've ever heard the term that person is mad as a hatter, and this comes from the 14th century when they were making everybody have those felt hats.
Lead, wasn't it lead?
It was real cool. No, now you're thinking of the Roman Empire. They lined their aqueducts with lead, and they found out that lead was horrible. And so, of course, a lot of America still has lead pipes, and the lead poisoning is still a problem. But with the mercury, they were making the hats. They used mercury in the process of making the hats. And so the people that made hats for a living were going crazy. They were losing it. And then you think of the Mad Hatter, Alice in Wonderland, or they say that guy's mad as a hatter. That is mercury poisoning that they're joking about. But they put mercury in flu shots. That is the adjuvant. Now, in the early, in the 80s and 90s, a lot of moms got together and threw a fit about mercury in the childhood vaccines as an adjuvant. And for most of the vaccines, they removed it and replaced it with aluminum, which when you analyze that, aluminum is actually 7 times more toxic to the human brain than mercury. Not saying that mercury is good for you, it's very toxic. But in the flu shot, the great majority of flu shots still have mercury. It's called
Thimerosal.
Thimerosal, it's organic mercury.
And Dr. Cathcart, when I was growing up, you and I are the same age. When I was growing up, you probably remember this too, they would show pictures like UNICEF or whatever, and they would talk about how these places far, far away in third world countries, these children had mercury poisoning. Remember? They would have 2 arms and things like that. You never see that anymore.
Right.
You never see them anymore. And I read, it says, yes, they do have a little mercury, these vaccines, but it's only, it's allowed. It's a little bit, it's allowed. But I say to myself, if I have a glass of water and I have a drop of poison in it, am I going to drink that water? That would be insanity, wouldn't it? But this is what we're seeing today.
Here's the play on words that they get away with all the time, and I shout it from the rooftops. There is a huge difference between you putting a drop of something in water and drinking it, and me putting a drop of something in a syringe and shooting it in your arm. So a lot of times they'll quote statistics of ingested levels of aluminum or mercury and say this is why it's safe in vaccines. Well, you're comparing apples to oranges. Ingested, we have a gut microbiome that is incredible, and we have a whole system around that gut microbiome for detoxing and for handling things like that. It's part of the immune system. The gut microbiome is a huge part of the immune system. When you inject a poison directly into the bloodstream, you're bypassing a huge part of the immune system. And so for them to compare ingested versus injected is criminal.
Wow. You've heard that right here on the Robin Harris Show with Dr. Dennis Cathcart. Dr. Dr. Cathcart, that was, I've never heard that before. And that is very interesting to me. And the thing I want to talk about too, because a lot of times vaccines, the whole vaccine use for children, but I noticed that the vaccines are really being the elderly, like my mom, and older people are constantly being told to get vaccines, or you got to get your flu shot and things like that. And I want to talk to you more about that. I do have to go to a quick station break, but I want to get into that. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll be right back.
Welcome to MyLifeFunding.com, an innovative way to earn a residual income for life. Here's how it works. Advertise your business or skills on our platform for $39 per month, while inviting others to do the same and earn $30 of the advertisement fees collected from those you've invited to advertise on MyLifeFunding.com every month. We don't utilize advertising media reps. That's because our advertising clients are the sales force that are afforded the opportunity to earn the sales commissions from the advertising dollars generated on this mobile directory. When you activate an advertising spot with us, you will be assigned your own independent sales rep promotion code that you'll use to invite others to advertise on MyLifeFunding.com. This strategically is done so that you can consistently earn a huge portion of the advertising dollars collected every month through your efforts. So go ahead, enter the promotion code provided to you and purchase your advertisement spot. Once you are a client, your business profile and skills will be uploaded in 48 hours. You will be notified by phone to complete the process. MyLifeFunding.com, your residual income business directory for now and the future.
Welcome back to the Robin Harris Show, Health and Health Insurance. Here we have Dr. Dennis Cathcart with Arizona Life Chiropractic Center, and we are talking about a very intense subject, and that is about vaccines. And Dr. Cathcart, we were talking about what is in vaccines, and I was asking about, because my mom, she goes to the doctor and she's told to get these different vaccines, and I'm very concerned. She has a lot of pain in her body, and I worry about her. And so can you talk about the effects of vaccines on the elderly and the ingredients that's in the vaccines?
Absolutely. One of the things that strikes me as interesting is through this whole COVID-19 pandemic, they've warned that the most vulnerable are the elderly. And in a lot of situations in different states, they didn't protect the elderly. But at the same time, the elderly are the ones that they really market to get a pneumonia shot every year, to get a flu shot every year, to get a shingle shot. Yeah. And so they're heavily marketing and saying that, this is something that you just have to do. But why then, if they're the most heavily vaccinated, are they the most worried about them? And what I see is that one of the reasons that they're the most vulnerable is because they have the most vaccines.
Really?
That it's damaging their immune system. That when you look at the ingredients in a flu shot, it's really hard for me to buy into the fact that this is good for anybody, especially an elderly person. The elderly person and the censoring that's going on in this country, if I say the word vitamin D or vitamin C or vitamin A or zinc or iodine, long before there was antibiotics, doctors used iodine very successfully, and it still works today. But you get censored if you say any of those things, and this is what the elderly should be being taught, is not get a flu shot, not get a pneumonia shot, but how do you boost your immune system to fight off what it was God-given ability to do. When you look at in the flu shot, there's formaldehyde. Now, formaldehyde's the main ingredient in embalming fluid, and if you talk to any mortician when they get the supplies in, their skull and crossbones on that formaldehyde, and they have to use very specific procedures. They don't touch it, they don't inhale it, but it's okay to inject into your 80-year-old mother. What about there's neomycin in the flu shot, so there's an antibiotic in there that's not good for your immune system. There's monosodium glutamate in a flu shot.
I'm allergic to that.
Yeah, a lot of us, most
it
everybody is.
Makes my throat.
Yeah, but it's in a flu shot. There's also polysorbate 80, and I want to talk a little bit about polysorbate 80. I actually read the ingredients of my hand soap the other day, and it had polysorbate 80 in it. And I'm not a chemist, I'm a chiropractor, but I read labels, and it was appalling to me. Why is polysorbate 80 in this hand soap? Let me explain where polysorbate 80 came from. When people have a tumor in their brain,
okay,
and they're going to treat them with chemotherapy. Now, everybody has a blood-brain barrier. So this is a small, very small capillaries that surround your brain to protect your brain from toxins. It's called the blood-brain barrier. It's been taught in medical books since the turn of the century, 1900. Gray's Anatomy talks about the blood-brain barrier. So it's been understood for over 100 years that we have a blood-brain barrier. Well, it's very effective at keeping toxins out of the brain. Well, how can you treat somebody with a brain tumor with chemotherapy if the chemotherapy can't cross the blood-brain barrier? So polysorbate 80 is a surfactant that will carry the chemotherapy across the blood-brain barrier. So why is that in a vaccine? Why do we need substances to cross the blood-brain barrier in a vaccine? So if you're using thimerosal, organic mercury, as an adjuvant, and now you're putting polysorbate 80 in with that toxic soup to carry it across the blood-brain barrier, so we know that thimerosal / mercury is a neurotoxin. Why are we putting polysorbate 80 in that shot to carry it across the blood-brain barrier?
So it's designed to do a certain task. Am I following this?
Yes, it is. It's a surfactant. It's to carry whatever to get it across the blood-brain barrier. So if you have heavy metals, a healthy individual, this is one of the arguments that they use all the time. Well, if vaccines caused autism, why doesn't it cause it in every child? Okay, that's kind of a ridiculous argument when you really examine it, because a healthy child will have a healthy blood-brain barrier, and they will expel the toxin as best they can. And most children can expel the toxins. When you do hair analysis on healthy children that have been fully vaccinated, you find mercury and aluminum in their hair because they're getting rid of it. An unhealthy child, and a lot of these children that are autistic, they find out that they have a specific gene that if they did genetic testing, they'd never vaccinate them in the first place, but they don't do that. But they're not healthy, and they can't get rid of the toxins, and the toxins do cross the blood-brain barrier. But to put polysorbate 80 in any vaccine should be criminal. Because now if you're using an adjuvant, which is a heavy metal, either mercury or aluminum, to make that, you need the body to react greater to the antigen or the virus that you want them to get immune to. If you just shot a little bit into them, the body would just take care of that little thing. You need a huge reaction to get more antibody response, so they put an adjuvant in there, which is a heavy metal, mercury or aluminum, so they get a bigger response. But then to put polysorbate 80 in there to carry that aluminum or mercury across the blood-brain barrier, it's just awful.
Yeah, the ingredients, and you know, when I found, this was just recently when I found this out about, I got the connection of and this was in the 80s. I think it was 1988 that I took that vaccine, and then it was after that I got really sick, bedridden for a couple months. But it wasn't until recently that I went on PubMed, where it's the depository of peer-reviewed studies.
The National Library of Medicine, that's their search engine, is PubMed.
Right. So I went on there and I looked up this vaccine series, and I could not believe all of the problems that come to this. And frankly, I was not I don't know how else to put it. It was not a happy moment. and the thing is, but what you're saying and what I'm getting out of this discussion, Dr. Cathcart, is the critical thinking that is so important. I mean, if we're going to shoot something up in our children, we should really be reading on every single ingredient that is in that shot. Am I right? I mean, your parents.
That's what I talked about, the beautiful propaganda that they use is they want you to look at it as a religion that you accept, you don't question, because the great majority of anti-vaccine people are college educated. And what they try to portray is that it's lower income, uneducated people that are not vaccinating their children, and it's quite the opposite. The more educated a person is, where they learn critical thinking and they realize that they do more research on which washing machine or refrigerator to buy than what they're shooting into their kid, and they do an about face and they realize this is ridiculous.
Right.
And when they start researching, they were once pro-vaxxers and now they're anti-vaxxers because they get educated instead of assuming. And that's where I was. I was an assumer, and I just assumed that was what you were supposed to do. But now that I've been researching this for over 30 years, to me it's just so obvious that you should not vaccinate only in very rare situations. And if you are, you want to do it in a specific way that's safer to your child.
Yeah, and there's other ingredients that I have read that I don't know if I want to talk about because it's just so horrible. It actually supports a whole system that is in this country. I don't even want to get into that. But I think you shared quite a bit, Dr. Cathcart, of what's in there. But I do want to talk about now when someone, they're not well and they're coming to you. Where does a patient start? Like, where do you start with trying to help someone or a child or someone that has had these vaccine injuries or maybe just toxicity?
Well, I think because I'm a chiropractor and I understand the nervous system and how it oversees all the systems, so I always start with improving the communication of the nervous system and the body. And really, when you do the research, you find that for every 10 parts of information that's the interchange between the brain and the body, 9 of those are input to the brain and 1 is output to the body. So the brain is constantly gathering information, everything it needs to know about the function of the body. And then it's sending back information to coordinate the activities of all those systems. And so the very first thing you have to do is make sure there's a good communication system. Then you have to start looking at what do they eat, what do they drink. And so many profound health changes can come from saying you drink a soda pop every day, you drink a Coke or Pepsi, you drink an energy drink every day, you're having 12 cups of coffee a day. What do you put in that coffee? So little simple things like that can be a profound thing. I always ask them what medications they're on as well. A lot of times people are on, when I get patients in that they're over 60, it's not uncommon for them to be on 10, 15, even 20 medications.
Right. I see that.
And then you start looking up, and I always give them homework. I said, I want you to go look up these medications and come back with a list of side effects. So they come into my office with a list of symptoms, And then I give them homework. Go look those up. And the great majority of their symptoms are side effects from the medications that they're on that their doctors haven't discussed with them.
That is really good that you do that. But I mean, because of what happened with the vaccine I took, it caused me to have like fibromyalgia and all this kind of stuff. They put me on that drug that's really famous right now in the news, hydroxychloroquine, or what do you call that, for lupus patients? I don't even know. Yeah, hydrochloroquine. I had me on that. And they said it could cause blindness. They said it could make your hair fall out. I was like, no, I don't want my hair to fall out. But I mean, just having, because I don't take anything now. And I do that for me, I do that on purpose, because I know that if I get sick or something and I need something, I'll go to a doctor like you, and you're going to get to the root cause of the problem. And I'm not going to be on a medication that caused all that. But having your patient to look up those medications, that must be eye-opening for them.
A lot of times it makes them angry. But I'm not trying to start a fight between them and their doctor. I just want them to be informed so they can make better decisions. Knowledge, knowledge is the key. And then there's wisdom, the proper application of the knowledge. But if you don't know the truth, what is it? The truth will set you free? Yeah,
it does set you free. Absolutely. And that's the whole thing. And truth, I really like the fact that you, as you can see, that you named your practice with the word life, because life is related to truth, vice versa, right? And it is. So you do now every week you have presentations that you do on Facebook. How, and the one that's coming up, because we're talking about on June 9th, that is Dr. C's Medicine Chest. You're going to be doing that.
Yeah, my sister Darla is my marketing.
I love her. Yeah.
So she always puts me on the spot. Like, for instance, this conversation, she does this. But I love her and I appreciate her. She always pushes me. And so she'll just come up with, I think we need to talk about this. And then it's my responsibility to come up with the talking points and the PowerPoint.
She's wonderful.
The whole Facebook thing started because of COVID-19, where we always called it Taco Tuesday. And I tell all my new patients, you need to come to at least 3 of these talks in the first 6 months that I'm taking care of you, because the more information you have, the better decisions you make, and I want you to be informed and make good decisions for your health. So I make it mandatory. You got to come to these. But here's the deal. I'm going to feed you tacos while I teach you. So that creates good compliance, and they're like, okay, I like tacos, and they come. But because of the COVID thing, I wasn't allowed to do Taco Tuesday anymore. So we started doing Facebook Live. But now that we've done Facebook Live for, 8 weeks or so, I don't think we'll start back doing Taco Tuesday as soon as the powers that be say it's safe. But I think we'll still put it on Facebook Live.
I think you should. I think you should, because I never went to one of your educational seminars, and that was the one I saw on vaccines, and it blew me away. And I was like, I hope he could come on my show. I thought, I'm a firm believer, it's always no until you ask. So I said, let me ask and let's see what he says. And here you are. Thank you so much, Dr. Cathcart. So I want to mention, and I want to ask you about the LifeWave patches, because, see, we have a national audience, and there might be some in the audience that say, well, I'm in California or I'm in Texas, but I can't see Dr. Cathcart. How can I get the benefit of his education and tutelage? But you do have a frequency technology that is available?
Yes. So let me start by explaining the frequency technology. Most everybody that I talk to knows that when you go out into the sunshine, the sun hits your skin, and you make vitamin D. It increases your vitamin D levels. Most people don't understand exactly how that works. And just quite simply, what happens is when the sun hits your skin, the sun is a frequency of light, and your skin cells respond to that frequency, and they convert cholesterol to vitamin D. So cholesterol is a wonderful substance that has been demonified by the pharmaceutical industry in order to sell their anti-cholesterol drugs. But cholesterol is actually very important in the human body. And their references as to what levels it should be are purely political, not scientific. But I digress. So the fact that we know that vitamin D comes from a frequency influencing our body, why don't we use frequencies instead of chemicals to influence our body? And this is what this technology does. So we all know that when you take a crystal and you put that crystal in a field of energy, that crystal reacts to the frequency of the energy, and it will vibrate. And depending on the structure of the crystal depends on the frequency or the vibration of that crystal. So the inventor of these LifeWave patches, his name is David Schmidt, and he's a scientist. And he understood the vitamin D frequency connection, and he was hired by the Navy to help the Navy SEALs with energy and endurance and being able to stay awake. And he created an energy patch, which basically he has little nanocrystals in a patch. So microscopic crystals, and those crystals were formulated to, when you put them on the body, you realize that you're made up of protons and electrons and neutrons, right?
A little bit.
So molecules break down into atoms, and atoms break down into protons, electrons, and neutrons. So you are made of charged particles.
And energy. We're energy
so
beings.
You have a field of energy around your body that everybody understands Sedona, and it's the center of the universe. In Sedona, Arizona, they analyze your aura. And God bless you, I don't care what you call it, you have a field of energy around your body because you're made of charged particles.
If you go like this, Dr. Cathcart, somebody turned me onto this. Like you just go like this. You could feel your energy. It's so true. Like you could feel it.
You can become more and more sensitive to that if you work at it. But the field of energy, it comes out around your body 3 to 6 inches, depending on the part of the body and the person's energy.
That's why when you're near someone, you could feel their energy, whether it's a positive energy or not.
You got it.
Uh-huh.
You got it. So if I have a little frequency, a pre-programmed frequency in a patch that I put on your body, and now I can even put it on your clothes, because remember that field of energy is coming out at least 3 inches. So your energy is going to stimulate or activate those patches, the little nanocrystals, and they're going to give off a specific frequency. So I can literally, it's like radioing to your cells and saying, hey, I want you to do this. And now we've also, David Schmidt understood acupuncture technology. So I can put a patch on an acupuncture point, and I can stimulate that acupuncture point, that meridian that communicates to thousands of cells, and I can give them a specific message. So I can tell your cells to produce more glutathione, or I can tell your cells to produce more carnosine, or I can tell your cells to increase the production of ATP, so more energy. But also, as you increase ATP, you decrease inflammation. So for fibromyalgia patients, you can really help them with their chronic inflammation with a frequency, no drugs. And so it's just fascinating the things you can do. But his latest patch that he made is the most fascinating. It is a stem cell patch. So he can increase stem cell activity in your body with the use of a little frequency patch.
That is amazing. So, and this is wonderful. So, to contact you, so our national audience also can find out more about this technology and get a consultation from your staff there to purchase these patches. How do they reach out to you, Dr. Cathcart?
So the best way to do it is to contact Darla.
Okay.
And so, do you put stuff on your page?
I can certainly do that, and also send out a newsletter.
So
and then we're also going to put it in the base of the video.
Okay, that'd be great. So I'll have you contact Darla, because she can be contacted through lifewave.com.
Okay.
Darla Reed, but she can also be emailed, and so I'll have Darla send you that information, how she'd like to do that.
Okay.
But basically what we do is we just empower people to get their own account. They can go on my YouTube channel, and I have several videos that teach you how to use the patches. They're very simple. They're 3 to 4 minutes. There's about a dozen videos on my YouTube channel, and that's just Dennis Cathcart YouTube channel.
Okay, so your YouTube channel is AZ Life Chiropractic, and AZ Life Chiropractic on YouTube, and then your phone number is 602-242-7537, 602-242-7537, and your website is ArizonaLifeChiropractic.com, ArizonaLifeChiropractic.com, and that's really wonderful. And then on your Facebook page, I'm going to pull that one up also. The Facebook page is on Facebook, Arizona Life Chiropractic Center, and there you are. I see you right there, and that's where you do your live videos. And so can the audience will probably subscribe to your YouTube channel and also like your page, and they could get the live alerts when you're on there. So this is
that lecture that you talked about on vaccines is on the YouTube channel, so they can watch that anytime they want as well.
Yeah, that is truly an eye-opener for anyone. Dr. Cathcart, I have to say, this has been a wonderful interview, especially having you here as a special guest. What you do for the community and education is you change people's lives. You improve their life. Arizona Life Chiropractic Center. You're doing it. And
well, I feel like if I can meet somebody like you, and I can educate them before they get that series of Hep B, then I've just saved them some grief.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Dr. Cathcart. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm going to pop in your office. I want to get some of those glutathione, because you have the glutathione patch. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm going to get one for my husband, too. So thank you, Dr. Cathcart. Appreciate everything that you do. We look forward. And you think you might want to be on the show again for another topic?
I'd love to.
Oh, okay. We'll definitely talk about that. Thank you, Dr. Cathcart. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Studio8181.com is a talent development and management company that owns its recording studio and video production center located in Peoria, Arizona. Share your media content, earn income, and talk to your fans all from one spot. Studio8181.com positions your content to be seen by important decision makers so you can attend exclusive auditions and or get invited to perform at venues many entertainers only dream about. The producers and engineers are determined to create new opportunities for talents, aspirants, and future stars. Don't have the money to do a soundtrack or a promotional demo video? Not a problem. You can simply request and schedule an audition. If you have the talent, we want to hear from you. Get your entertainment website and more. Email us at info@studio8181.com. Thank you.
cellphoneradio.org is redefining webcasting and podcast productions. We're uniquely positioned to help you take advantage of the digital world we all live in. So if you have an idea or content for a webcast show or a podcast show, we would like to hear from you. We offer an innovative way of funding and creating outstanding webcast and podcast shows to earn income for developers and viewers. Please enjoy our current posted shows and interact with the host. Ask questions in real time and/or have one of our producers create a stunning digital advertisement spot for your company that can be inserted into our selected show schedules. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Robin Harris Show, Health and Health Insurance. I have to take a breather. I really do, because that interview really got my heart, because Dr. Cathcart, the word life is in his the name of his practice. And he is affecting people's lives. He has saved lives. And I'm very appreciative to what he's doing for the community. And again, if you want to get to know Dr. Cathcart and his phone number, and this is even if you're national, give them a call. I mean, there are some things that they can do for you, even nationally. And the number 602-242-7537. The website is ArizonaLifeChiropractic.com. And then he does the Facebook Lives. Go to his website, his Facebook page, Arizona Life Chiropractic Center. And you could also go to his YouTube channel, which is AZ Life Chiropractic. Thank you, Dr. Cathcart. So I'm going to talk a little bit about insurance. And the topic that I want to talk about today it's not going to be long, but it's buyer beware. And this is a buyer beware for no deductible plans. If you've ever been told that I'd like to show you this no deductible plan. That no deductible plan is actually what they consider it's either called a fixed benefit or an indemnity health plan or a surgical hospitalization plan. Okay, they have different names for the same thing. Alrighty? So, if you're being told about these type of plans, no deductible plans, I want to talk to you about that today. Okay? And the reason why I have one here as an example, they're all pretty much the same. So basically what they do is they pay for hospitalization, surgery, doctor visits, and they pay a certain amount. So usually there's a network attached, so you get a network discount. It's usually a PPO network. So say for instance your doctor's in the network, you go to the doctor, you get a contracted rate or a discount, and then they'll put a certain amount towards that doctor visit. So say the doctor visit's $250, with different things the doctor does, and then you take the discount. They take maybe $100 off, $150. Now the bill's $150, and now they add $75 towards that doctor visit. You might pay $75 overall for that doctor visit. Okay, that's great. Firstly, I want to tell you about these plans is that there is a pre-existing condition clause. So the first year or two, it doesn't cover pre-existing, depending on the plan you get. Doesn't cover pre-existing condition. In some cases, it will not cover that condition at all for a certain amount of years, depending on the condition. If it's a very severe condition that you had, like cancer, they might not pay on that for 5 years. All right. Usually, they only pay so many doctor visits. I've seen as many as 10 doctor visits for the year. And then they only pay up to a certain amount. So say, for instance, you're going to the hospital, you need surgery. They're only going to pay up to a certain amount per year. Like this one right here, it says, include surgical benefits for both inpatient and outpatient surgery, paid at the scheduled benefit amount. Benefits paid per surgery vary greatly. Maximum benefit per year is $50,000. So the most that this particular one that I'm looking at will pay only up to $50,000. Oh yeah, $50,000 for that calendar year. With a maximum, there is a maximum benefit here, $200,000. So this particular plan will only give you up to $200,000 of inpatient hospitalization and surgery for the whole calendar year. So now what I'm just getting across, just threw a whole bunch of stuff at you, is that when somebody says to you, I have a no deductible plan, and that sounds great. Wow. No deductible? My deductible is $8,150. My deductible is $6,000. I hate it. I really like the sound of a no deductible plan. But when you read through these plans, you find out that they only pay certain amount for certain treatments, or medical treatments or services. Okay. And so if you go to, let's say for instance, I saw this in an actual bill. If you got a CAT scan, that CAT scan was, you went to the hospital, the CAT scan was $7,000. You got the discount, now that CAT scan is only $4,000. But guess what? Your indemnity plan, your hospitalization fixed benefit plan, is only paying $200 towards that CAT scan. It says it right here. I'm going to show you this. Okay. Here it is. If you look at this plan, you will notice it says laboratory services, radiology services, $200 per CAT scan. Okay. So you got the network discount, brought it down to $4,000 from $7,000, but it's only going to pay $200 for that. That's the fixed benefit. So now your hospitalization just for the CAT scan is going to be for like $3,800. That doesn't include the hospital bed. That doesn't include the nurse. That doesn't include your aspirin. Nothing. Just the CAT scan. So you have a no deductible plan, but now you have a $40,000 medical bill. See, these plans were, in the beginning, they were originally sold as an extra benefit to cover out-of-pocket expenses, like a complement to your health insurance. But what happened, and early on when the marketplace plans came in, they were very expensive. These were being sold, and I recall, because I was an agent at the time, these were being sold as regular health insurance with critical illness supplements on top of them. But unfortunately, it has left a lot of people with big bills. So when somebody says to you, this is a no deductible plan, you can just read your policy, see what the limitations and exclusions are, and then make your educated decision. All right. All right. So that's that. The other thing I want to mention to you that next week, our special guest is Denise Haney. She's the VP of Sales with Southwest Region of Cathcart. Denise is an expert in the field of employer benefits and compliance, and Cathcart helps consumers maximize their health care costs and savings. Have you had questions about COBRA, FSAs, HSAs, HRAs, ERISA, alphabet soup of health insurance, and other employee benefits? Or as an employer, do you wonder if you're compliant? She's going to go into that too. Well, this is an interview to learn from a compliance and healthcare cost savings expert, because not only do I sell the individual, and I have my offerings are individual and family plans, I also have a whole suite of group plans, and you know, I have to suggest ways for my client to stay compliant, and I actually refer Denise to my clients to help them to stay compliant. Okay, and so that is going to be phenomenal. Don't miss it. All right, and then I want to thank my producer James Dunson, and then also our tech guru, Scott Antrim. And I just want to show you real quick. This is my website, Robin Harris Advisors.com. Okay. And if you go on my website, you'll be able to see we had Dr. Dennis Cathcart today, and we have Denise Haney next week. And then the week after that, we're going to have Brian Russell and Nikita the wine dog, and she's going to be here in studio, so that's going to be really cool. Anyway, it was a great day and a great interview with Dr. Cathcart. I'm very excited. Please share this with your friends and family. It's just vital information. And, you know, it goes back to my core belief as a health insurance broker, is that health insurance is one tool to pay for health care. But the best health insurance, the number one best way of health insurance, is taking care of your health. So thank you so much for being here today on the Robin Harris Show, Health and Health Insurance. We look forward for you listening in next week. Thank you so much, and you make it a great day. Bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Ocotillo Dental Care and the office of Dr. Jeffrey S. Gorelick.
When you want to get the accurate information about the future of health and health insurance, just watch the Robin Harris Podcast Show every Thursday, 10 a.m. Arizona time at cellphoneradio.org, or dial 408-418-5050 and enter the access code 81810#. It's an invigorating show where Robin brings you experts in the field of health and health insurance. The audience can view the show and ask questions of her guests in real time. That's the Robin Harris Podcast Show every Thursday, 10 a.m. Arizona time at cellphoneradio.org, or dial 408-418-5050 and enter the access code 81810#. What's in your health insurance plan?
Cellphoneradio.org is redefining webcasting and podcast productions. We're uniquely positioned to help you take advantage of the digital world we all live in. So if you have an idea or content for a webcast show or a podcast show, we would like to hear from you. We offer an innovative way of funding and creating outstanding webcast and podcast shows to earn income for developers and viewers. Please enjoy our current posted shows and interact with the host. Ask questions in real time and/or have one of our producers create a stunning digital advertisement spot for your company that can be inserted into our selected show schedules. Thank you.